You're saying Jeffries, Johnson,
Schumer, McConnell, Johnson, and Jeffries, the firm.
Okay,
They did this.
Okay, McConnell and Schumer, they cooked this up for the last 85 days in secret, dropped it on everybody Wednesday, and this is where we are.
Yes, and it has failed.
Because they didn't want to give the president negotiating leverage during his first term, or during the first year of his new term. And number two, because they would rather shut down the government and fight for global censorship bullshit.
MAGA Republicans like Senator Mike Lee and like Vice President-elect J.D. Vance expose who's really behind this corrupt, huge Congress budget bill that was proposed. And now with this new budget proposal, the much smaller one, not being passed, we're going to hear from Speaker Mike Johnson and one of the people who did not vote for it, super popular Congresswoman Nancy Mace. For context, basically one of the big reasons why this original bill on the left was not passed was because Elon Musk threatened, hey, if any of you guys vote for this, you Republicans, you're going to be voted out in 2 years when your next election is up. That changed the tide, people voted against it, and it did not pass. Now, who was behind this huge bill?
So you're saying these four people, you're saying Jeffries, Johnson,
Schumer, McConnell, Johnson, and Jeffries, the firm.
Okay,
they did this.
Okay, McConnell and Schumer, they cooked this up for the last 85 days in secret, dropped it on everybody Wednesday, and this is where we are.
Yes, and it has failed. It's failed miserably because the American people are awake. They have access to X, they have access to Waters World, they have access to information and to apps that will help them quickly digest this information. This does not work. It's an historic moment. It's fallen apart. And as a result, somebody's going to have to lose their job over this. I don't think the speaker is going to remain in power. That's my prediction. I'm not in the House. If I'm correct in that, and I think I am, we need bold new leadership, outside leadership, and I think it needs to be a Doge speaker. It needs to be either Vivek Ramaswamy or it needs to be Elon Musk. Look, I was over here a couple weeks ago, House and Senate Republicans for a Doge caucus meeting. I've never seen, we're like, herding cats, Republicans on Capitol Hill. Never seen so much attention, so much respect for two people in our entire caucus in the Senate and in the House.
So you're officially nominating right here on Jesse Watters Primetime either Vivek or Elon to be House Speaker. Doesn't have to be a politician, could be anyone, can be Speaker. Do they want that job?
I don't know. Look, I'm a little bit skeptical. Elon is kind of busy. He's got like 54 companies that he's running and trying to get to the moon. I suspect Vivek is a little bit more open to it than Elon. I'll take either one of them. Vivek, Elon, if you're watching, please sign up. America needs you.
All right. Well, I don't think Johnson likes you now. Next time you guys see each other walking through the halls of Congress, he's going to probably kick you in the leg.
He is a good man. He's a friend. He's been a friend for a long time. Great person. He's lost control of this process. And I don't know how he can remain in power. We need Elon or Vivek as Speaker.
Now that's a bold claim, and I don't think those guys would take that job, but it does make sense that Speaker Johnson, Mitch McConnell, House Minority Leader Jeffries, and Chuck Schumer were behind the original negotiations.
Mr. Vance, will you accept any deal that does not include a debt limit increase?
Look, I'll say one thing. The Democrats just voted to shut down the government, even though we had a clean CR, because they didn't want to give the president negotiating leverage during his first term, or during the first year of his new term. And number two, because they would rather shut down the government and fight for global censorship bullshit. They've asked for a shutdown, and I think that's exactly what they're going to get.
38 Republicans vote against it as well.
But I'm here today because I realize that the plan that's on the table currently to keep our government open, but also the promise from the only president in my lifetime who's ever followed through on all of his campaign promises to the American people. Excuse me, I'm not done talking. Give me the same respect we give you guys.
The House will come to order. My colleagues are reminded the gentlewoman has the floor. She has the right to be heard. The gentlewoman has the right to be heard, and the gentlewoman would be reminded to direct her comments to the chair. The gentlewoman from Florida is recognized.
from the only president in my lifetime who's fulfilled all of his campaign promises to the American people, has promised to cut hundreds of billions of dollars in reconciliation. You want to talk about shutting down the government. The deal that was negotiated was largely rejected by the American people, which, to Speaker Johnson's credit, pulled it from the floor, which is why we are here today. The deal on the table will keep the government open for the American people, and if you guys so choose to shut it down, it will be on you, but not the Republican Party. We will not be going back to the table. This deal stands as it is, so let you go back home on Christmas and explain to your people why you shut down the government, because we won't be doing it.
The House.
Furthermore, Mr. Speaker.
The House will be in order. The House will be in order. The gentlewoman is reminded to direct her comments to the chair. My colleagues are reminded to yield the floor to the gentlewoman from Florida.
Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, the former bill had items in it to include random pandemic policies, biocontaminant research that were not in the best interest of the American people. So the deal on the table is as is. You either vote for or you vote for the shutdown, but it will be not on the Republican Party, but on Democrats as it stands. Mr. Speaker, I yield my time.
He slammed that thing, man. He was mad. But I don't understand the argument of before it was Democrats were saying, oh, Republicans are voting for a government shutdown if they don't accept our bill. Now the Republicans who made this shortened thing within like 24 hours, shortened bill proposal, are saying, oh, it's on the Democrats if we get a government shutdown. That's just hypocritical. You guys are both not agreeing with what was proposed. So now the Republicans might be right in what they're proposing, but they can't just say, oh, the Democrats are voting for a government shutdown now. No, like, you don't vote for a government shutdown. You fight for getting the right bill done. And after Democrats voted for a government shutdown by not accepting the new compact bill proposal, let's see what Speaker Mike Johnson has to say.
Can you just stop at the mic, sir, and explain what's going on?
Yeah, look, it is very disappointing that...
Camera, watch out. Watch out. Move back.
That's the full camera.
Sorry, thank you, sir.
Very disappointing to us that all but 2 Democrats voted against aid to farmers and ranchers, against disaster relief, against all these bipartisan measures that had already been negotiated and decided upon. Again, the only difference on this legislation was that we would push the debt ceiling to January of 2027. I want you all to remember that it was just last spring that the same Democrats berated Republicans and said that it was irresponsible to hold the debt limit, the debt ceiling hostage. What changed? It is, I think, really irresponsible for us to risk a shutdown over these issues on things that they have already agreed upon. I think you need to be asking them the questions about that.
But what's the next step?
We will regroup and we will come up with another solution, so stay tuned.
Will you drop the debt limit demand?
Now, why wouldn't the Democrats agree to this if it already had some of the federal aid that was going to go to farmers and all these other things that they already agreed upon? Well, who knows what fluff was removed from this big original proposal into this new one, like possibly lobbyist agenda proposals and aid and money and other things, the salary increases for people in Congress, probably all of that extra stuff that benefits them was cut out. So now they're like, nah. But what do I know? Let's hear directly from Nancy Mace, who voted no against this new measure, and she's a Trump Republican.
It's not the number of pages that matters, it's what's actually in those pages. So the 1,000+ pages that were removed really had to do with authorizations and not appropriations or spending outlays. The actual CR in the bill yesterday and today is only about 9 pages. We all agree that we need aid for hurricane victims, but my proposal is if we were to do this as a very short-term CR until President Trump is elected, get us through till January 20th. I don't want to continue Joe Biden levels of spending months into Trump's presidency. Or let's do single subject bills. Let's vote on the foreign aid. Let's vote on farm and agriculture. Let's vote on spending in the CR. Let's do it separately. Okay. This would have been a lot easier.
Right. I mean, but what have you guys been doing then for the last 85 days?
It's a great question. I've been filing a lot of bills legislatively.
No, but who's in control? Republicans have the House, right? So what has the Republican Party been doing for the last 85 days if they leave this to the last second and they can't even agree on it?
Well, this is what Washington always does. We've seen this movie before. It's kind of like Groundhog Day.
All right. So you do the same thing every time, and the Democrats aren't helping. The Democrats just tanked this thing with you and a couple others because they want their goodies and they want a pay raise. So, I mean, at this point, I don't care. I'm going on vacation tomorrow, but what do you think is going to happen? You think they're going to shut this thing down, or do you think they're going to come together tomorrow night before the deadline?
Well, Steve Scalise's comments tonight were encouraging that they were going to continue negotiations, and hopefully we get in a room and we hash some of this out. I don't think this has to be complicated. There are also bills on the table. I have a bill called the Government Shutdown Act of 2023. It's a very short-term CR solution, but it only spends 99% of what the government's budget is. There are other solutions out there that make sure we fund the military, that make sure we fund the Border Patrol, et cetera. All the mandatory, if we did shut down all mandatory spending like Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, VA benefits, all of that gets funded and spent. And so it's not as scary as it seems, but I also think the answer could be very simple. And I hope we can get in a room, negotiate it before the shutdown.
All right. Well, just lock yourselves in a room with a bunch of wine and a pencil and figure it out, right?
I'm not going anywhere, Jesse. I'm here for the American people. I'm here for Donald Trump, and I'm here to make this happen.
All right, good. All right, we'll get it done. We'll see what happens.
We don't know what's going to happen. They might not even get something done. What we do know is that these Congress people, like Nancy Mace, like even the Democrats, any of the Republicans, the rhinos, the MAGA Republicans, they're not happy to have to be at Capitol Hill over Christmas because they can't leave, because it's bad optics for the American people that, oh, we're going on our Christmas break while our government's shut down, while people are not getting paid. There's going to be back pay for federal workers. So they can't go home to their families. They're not happy about it. They won't necessarily say that publicly. It's Sean Daniel here. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing or watching another video on this whole Congress budget thing that's going on. And I'll put them right here, and I will see you in the next one.